Welcome to our introductory course on Eternalism, the divine philosophy of the eternal worlds. Unit 25, Connecting the Dots, Part 3. In Unit 25, we take the next step by connecting the dots between Eternalism's core branches, metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics, and contrasting them with the pre-modern, modern, and postmodern mindsets. Guided by Brigham Young's call to believe, think, and practice correctly, we'll expose how each worldview either supports or undermines truth. The goal? To make implicit assumptions explicit and to defend reality-based principles with clarity and confidence. Let's rejoin our philosophical stickman on another philosophical walk. As he reflects, he asks, in what way does connecting the dots between existence and human flourishing make the implicit explicit? After a thoughtful pause, he answers, connecting the dots between existence and human flourishing makes the implicit explicit by revealing how morality and rights are grounded in reality, not opinion or decree, and by turning unspoken assumptions into provable, objective truths. Objectivity comes from tying your ideas back to reality, providing the step-by-step argument needed to prove your position. It's how morality and rights are grounded in reality, not just opinion or decree. Now that we've highlighted the significance of making the implicit explicit by connecting the dots between existence and human flourishing, thereby giving morality and rights an objective, reality-based foundation, it's time to take the next step. Consider these words from Brigham Young, who understood both the philosophy of the eternal worlds and the importance of connecting the dots between its many branches. He said, that which we may call eternal philosophy, God's philosophy, the philosophy of angels, natural philosophy, reasonable philosophy, commends itself to the human mind, to the intelligence that man possesses. Well then, we ought, in the first place, to train ourselves, to believe correctly, to think correctly and to practice correctly, and instill correct principles into the minds of the rising generation. Notice that Brigham Young connects the dots between one branch of philosophy and another by first emphasizing the importance of believing correctly. Metaphysics, believing what is real, then thinking correctly, epistemology, knowing what is true, and finally, to practice correctly. Value ethics, pursuing what is good, meaning pursuing those acts, desires, and values that lead to human survival and human flourishing. Again, notice how the philosophy of eternalism and the various branches of the philosophy, such as metaphysics, epistemology, and value ethics, have always been there, implicitly if not explicitly, but now, with the philosophy of eternalism, we are able to make the implicit explicit by connecting the dots between one gospel principle and one branch of philosophy and another. Brigham Young's threefold call to believe, think, and practice correctly aligns with what we call the 3 E's of eternalism: eternal laws, eternal truths, and eternal lives. The first E, eternal laws, belongs to the realm of metaphysics, where Brigham Young urges us to believe correctly. To do so, we must give philosophical primacy to reality over God and gospel primacy to eternal laws over personal desires or beliefs. In short, believing correctly means grounding faith in the absolutism of reality by upholding the primacy of existence over the primacy of consciousness. The second E, eternal truths, belongs to the realm of epistemology, where Brigham Young urges us to think correctly. This requires giving philosophical primacy to reason over faith, observation over revelation, and mind over heart. All 3 reflect a rational faith, one grounded in reality, for truth, as we've defined it, is knowledge of reality. The third E, eternal lives, belongs to the realm of value ethics, where Brigham Young urges us to practice correctly. This requires giving philosophical primacy to life over love, self over others, good over right, and happiness over duty. All 4 reflect human life and flourishing as the standard of value. Now let's take the core primacy issue from each of the 3 branches and contrast them with the philosophical mindsets that run counter to Brigham Young's call to believe, think, and practice correctly, so we can better instill these true principles in the rising generation. More on that in the next slide. Here we've listed the three branches of philosophy vertically: metaphysics, epistemology, and value ethics, alongside their core primacy issues. Across the top, we've added the three major philosophical mindsets: pre-modern, modern, and postmodern. This layout lets us connect the dots not only across the branches, but also between worldviews, highlighting how each aligns or conflicts with Brigham Young's call to believe, think, and practice correctly. As we fill in the chart, we'll make the implicit explicit and gain a clear visual summary of what Eternalists stand for and stand against. We begin with metaphysics and the question of what it means to believe correctly. The pre-modern mindset reflects the primacy of God over reality, a religious expression of the primacy of consciousness. This view upholds the absolutism of God and the false belief that God is the measure of all things, a core error stemming from the Great Apostasy, where truth was lost and corrupted. The modern mindset, which set the stage for the latter-day restoration, reflects the primacy of reality over God, an expression of the primacy of existence. It affirms the absolutism of reality and the true principle that reality is the measure of all things. This restored foundation corrects the errors of the Great Apostasy by grounding our understanding of God, man, and the universe in the reality-based order of the eternal worlds. Now let's turn to the postmodern mindset of our day, which reflects the primacy of man over reality, a secular form of the primacy of consciousness. It upholds the absolutism of man and the false belief that man is the measure of all things. This core error fuels what can be called the Great Unraveling, where truth is no longer lost or corrupted, but denied, deconstructed, and weaponized. Postmodernism is the all-destroyer, for it treats belief itself as oppressive and reality as a form of tyranny, insisting that true liberation means freedom not just from dogma, but from truth, meaning, and reality itself. It wages war on anything fixed, certain, or objective, unraveling the very foundations of thought, morality, and identity. To believe correctly, we must uphold the absolutism of reality and the primacy of existence as the foundational belief on which all else rests, while rejecting both the pre-modern and postmodern mindsets, where truth is either lost, corrupted, or denied altogether. Next, we turn to epistemology, the study of how we know truth and what it means to think correctly. It starts with the right foundation. The key gospel issue here is the tension between faith and reason. Pre-modern thinking placed faith over reason, reflecting the absolutism of faith and the false belief that faith alone is the principal means of all knowledge. Rooted in the primacy of consciousness, this mindset contributed to the Great Apostasy, where truth was not just lost, it was corrupted. Modern thinking, which paved the way for the restoration, rightly places reason over faith and affirms the absolutism of reason. It reflects the primacy of existence. In this restored view, faith is evidence-based and aligned with reason, making reason the principal means of all knowledge. This corrects the errors of the Great Apostasy by giving gospel primacy to reason over faith, observation over revelation, and mind over heart. Postmodern thinking, dominant today, replaces both faith and reason with power, reflecting the absolutism of power and the primacy of consciousness. It teaches that power, not reason or faith, is the principal means of all knowledge. In this view, truth is no longer lost or corrupted. It's denied, deconstructed, and weaponized by those who seek to control it. To think correctly, we must affirm the absolutism of reason, rooted in reality, as the foundation for truth and knowledge. We must reject both the pre-modern faith over reason error and the postmodern power over truth error. Now we turn to value ethics, how to live and thrive, and what it means to practice correctly. At the center is a gospel-level tension. Is love or life the ultimate standard of value? Pre-modern thinking placed love over life, reflecting the absolutism of love and the false belief that selfless, self-sacrificial, and unconditional love is the highest good and the ultimate standard of value. Rooted in the primacy of consciousness, this distortion of divine love fueled the great apostasy, where the truth about love as self-regarding and mutually life-enhancing was not just lost, it was corrupted. Modern thinking, which prepared the way for the restoration, gives primacy to life over love, affirming the absolutism of life. It reflects the primacy of existence and teaches that life, not love, is the true standard of value. In this restored view, human life and flourishing take priority over love, for the simple reason that there can be no love without life. It corrects the errors of the great apostasy by placing life over love, self over others, good over right, and happiness over duty, shifting from a duty-based ethics, tied to church or state, to a value-based ethics, grounded in life itself. Postmodern thinking, dominant today, reduces all value to power, reflecting the absolutism of power and the primacy of consciousness. It teaches that power, not life or love, is the ultimate standard of value. In this view, value is no longer lost or corrupted. It's denied, deconstructed, and weaponized into a struggle over which values should dominate. To live rightly, we must affirm the absolutism of life, rooted in reality, as the ultimate standard of value. And we must reject both the pre-modern error of love over life and the postmodern error of power over value. This chart allows us to connect the dots across the three branches of philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics, while also contrasting entire worldviews. It shows how each mindset aligns or conflicts with Brigham Young's call to believe, think, and practice correctly. In metaphysics, the pre-modern view puts God over reality, the modern view puts reality over God, and the postmodern view puts man over reality. In epistemology, pre-modern gives faith over reason, modern gives reason over faith, and postmodern gives power over truth. In value ethics, pre-modern places love over life, modern places life over love, and postmodern places power over value. By making the implicit explicit, the chart offers a clear visual summary of what Eternalists stand for and stand against. This ends this Unit 25 presentation. Thank you for watching. Join us for Unit 26, where we continue connecting the dots in the practical realm, this time by asking three key questions. What? So what? And now what? We'll apply them directly to a man's pursuit of money, women, and power, exposing the moral and philosophical stakes behind each. And don't forget to take the Unit 25 overview quiz, which includes a controversial bonus question you won't want to miss.